Speech.
Honourable Shane Jones.
Tēnā koe, Mr Chair.
Strap in, it's going to be a bumpy one, Tories.
So I'd like to acknowledge that as a consequence of my colleague David Cunliffe coming back from a great summer, he can see the future. And that sort of hirsute look that he brings to the House, sir, is in contrast to that sort of that very handsome sort of mop of hair that has haunted a number of us as have watched your circuitous career. But, sir, and so I'd like to say as well, I'm about to eat venison as a consequence, unrelated to tax, from a hunting trip. And the minister sitting next to you can claim some credit on a completely unrelated issue. Sir, this bill, amongst the other amendments it makes, and I was chided earlier by the Minister of Revenue, Mr Chair, I was chided by the Minister of Revenue, but in actual fact it does make some improvements, I presume, or amendments to that marathon exercise called the FDR, which, the Minister, Mr Chair, the Minister and I actually, we imposed ourselves upon the swallows of Kororareka, Russell, a bunch of New Zealand and overseas residents who took great umbrage with the changes that Dr Cullen and the Minister of that time, who was still the Minister, were making. So perhaps, sir, he could enlighten us during the course of the evening as to how these amendments and how these changes are actually going to improve the functioning of not so much international business but us sourcing capital. So, Mr Chair, we've heard a bit from the other side of the House, and I understand John Hayes has joined the Finance and Expenditure Committee. And so as he sits on that committee, sir, I just hope that there is some topic which comes across the purview of that committee to do with Persian rugs. And if not rugs, sir, Persian cats. So because there's one thing I know about Mr Hayes, that he is a walking encyclopedia on matters pertaining to Persia. Unfortunately, the only person disinterested in listening to him is the current Minister of Foreign Affairs, who in days gone by, sir, actually was on the FEC. But, sir, I won't speak ill, Mr Chair, of that fellow resident at one point in time of North Auckland, etc. That was Tauhe Nare, and he doesn't have a permatan. His head's been on the sunbed tan for far too long. So he knows that, sir, and he also knows that this is the last. This is, sir, I actually hope that he does. I hope he does, sir, stand and take a call on this tax-related bill, largely, sir, because it may be the most coherent thing we're going to hear from the man in this final 3-year countdown of his parliamentary career. And, sir, I've no doubt he curses the day that he made fun of the hammerhead shark who sits here on a regular basis, otherwise known as Winston Peters. Because, sir, his career may have gone on and on and on. But let's come back to these tax matters, sir. We support this bill. Of course we support this bill because we're incredibly supportive, sir. We're incredibly supportive of turning around the fortunes of the country, unlike our colleagues over there who have the rhetoric but have not given us a clear set of ideas as to how these, sir, changes to the international tax regime are ensuring, sir, that those players who are investing overseas are paying their fair tax. So, sir, I would like to hear from the Minister on this question of the connection between the protracted experience we had in creating the FDR, which I presume actually did improve the prospects of Tony Gibbs before he fell from grace. And, but so that's another matter, because I was the person dispatched to try and make sense of what he was on about. That was prior to hundreds of thousands of dollars being spent on the New Zealand Herald and the Dominion and various other organs of the Fourth Estate as they sought to change the minds of the FEC and the government of the day. And us being a responsive government, sir, we were a little bit flexible in that regard. But as I recall, sir, FDR is referred to as one of the amendments in this bill. So referred to, it was an attempt to ensure that New Zealanders who were capturing their wealth through the capital growth of equities that they held overseas, and they're able to repatriate them back to New Zealand because it was a capital growth, sir, and it wasn't regarded as income. There was an opportunity for them to, let me say, short the New Zealand-based tax system and capture the full value of their equities overseas as they grew in terms of their capital value. And so when that was monetised and cashed up, the rest of us are struggling here and paying PAYE and, as an ordinary part of our daily lives. They were able to, I wouldn't say evade, so they were able to circumvent that obligation. Now the FDR is contained in here, so I really look forward to the Minister. So bringing a little erudition, not in that usual sort of schoolboy style, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy.
Honourable Peter Dunn.
I'm happy to oblige the member. I do recall the trip